Now alongside is our bracketologist, Dan Belluomini. Dan, we're going to have 9 post-game shows this year. You ready to go?
I am ready. It's a good time of the year, Dennis. No question about it. Yeah, definitely ready to go.
Yeah, and Randy Bennett is ready to go, I hope. He's at a little mini drought, but he gets in. This is a deep team. It was a nationally ranked team. He's got Virginia Commonwealth, of which he knows nothing about. But how do you feel about the Gaels?
I feel real good about St. Mary's. VCU lost to Rhode Island in their championship game. And, you know, I think St. Mary's is firing on all cylinders. It's a good team. They obviously had big trouble with Gonzaga. They could not beat Gonzaga. Right. But outside of that, they had an unbelievable year, and they've got size. They've got great guard play with Rayhan and Nar. And, of course, you know, they've got all kinds of big guys that can do damage.
When Bennett says he knows nothing about Virginia Commonwealth, this is the team that has been to the tournament now 6 straight times. Did they get a nod because of the experience factor?
Well, I think they played a very good schedule. I thought St. Mary's, quite frankly, Dennis, earlier in the year would even be seated a little bit lower, but I'm really happy that the selection committee gave St. Mary's a good seed. I thought maybe they could have gone as high as 6, but 7 is a solid seed. And I think St. Mary's will move on. Of course, if they move on, you know, we know they'll probably play Arizona. And I said it during the year, that was the game I wanted to see, Arizona or UCLA against St. Mary's.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Cal not getting into the tournament. I think, you know, typically the first 4 out, you can make a case of why they should have been in, but maybe perhaps this year you can make a better case for why they did not get in.
Well, I think if you look at Cal, as you look at, you know, teams like Illinois State, you look at Syracuse, I mean, just not enough quality wins. I mean, you've got to beat some teams in the top 50, and you have to do it multiple times. Cal played a tough schedule. I thought they had a good year. They didn't have a great year. Yeah. And, of course, you know, they lost Matthews last year. They lost Jalen Brown. Rab was hurt earlier in the year. I don't know if they took that into account. But they'll be a #1 seed in the NIT.
Well, you look at the game. They should have beat Oregon. Probably should have. That gets them in. The Arizona game, the Seton Hall, and even the Virginia game. I think any win there probably gets them
Probably
in.
Puts them over the top.
Okay, UC Davis gets there first.
How about it?
I'm going to ask you, what's your scouting report on the Aggies?
Well, you know, quite frankly, I did a number of UC Davis games back in the. Oh, you bet I did. Jim Les is the coach. Yeah. Jim was a tremendous player at Bradley, by the way, and played in the NBA. So was his brother, a very good player. And Jim has taken that program from really low to high to get into the NCAA tournament. And you remember way back in the late 90s when Bob Williams was coaching, they won the Division II championship in the NCAA, and then they flipped over and went to Division I. But this is their first appearance, Division I, in the NCAA tournament. They won their championship game in the Big West, Dennis. I know you'll 50-47. There you are. So this is a great defensive team.
I always tell people when the NCAA tournament comes on, I throw anything at Dan Belluomini, nuggets of information come on. Okay, let's get to your sleepers first of all.
Well, I've got some sleepers, and the team I really like is Middle Tennessee State. I think they're a very good team. Don't forget, Middle Tennessee State last year beat one of my favorites, Michigan State, early in the tournament. I like Florida Gulf Coast, very athletic, terrific guard play, can shoot the ball. USC, I picked them last year to do some damage, and they disappointed me, but they got Jordan McLaughlin, they got Metu, they've got some bigs that can really play, Benny Boatwright, and Wichita State. Here's another perplexing thing to me, Dennis. I thought Wichita State would be seated higher. They're a dangerous team, but
I was shocked that they weren't as well.
Right.
Let me get the let me get to the Final Four, because you like UCLA, you're going with it, but my question about UCLA is Lonzo Ball had a strained thumb when a ball went off his thumb there, so they're saying that's a strain. By the way, they're coming up to Sacramento in the South region against Kent State, but they didn't look good in the Pac-12.
No, well, they didn't look good in the championship game, but Arizona had a lot to do with it. And you know, the other thing was T.J. Leaf. I don't think is yet 100%. They have, with Lonzo Ball and T.J. Leaf, you have 2 of the great freshmen in the country playing on the same team. UCLA is dangerous, and Lonzo Ball is good as I've seen in a long time. He reminds me of a bigger Jason Kidd, and he can make things happen. I love Duke, and because Duke is on a roll. I know they've lost 8 games, but don't forget, they had some internal issues early. Mike Krzyzewski didn't coach. They won the ACC tournament, and they're going.
I'm getting a wrap. Give me your national champion.
I went with Duke all the way. I just think Duke's playing the best basketball of anybody right now.
Okay, that's just a warm-up act. A little nugget of Dan Belluomini. We got 9 post-game shows coming up after March Madness throughout the NCAA tournament. Dan, thanks a lot.
Okay, my pleasure.